Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Yesterday, US elections were held and the results are expected now. What does it mean? The polls suggest, the pre polls, opinion polls, that the Senate would definitely be Republican controlled. And there's every possibility of even the House being controlled by the Senate, by the Republicans. It's an upward trajectory. But then the effect globally and especially for India is going to be very wide ranging. One thing is sure that with the Republican hold on the Senate and possibly also on the House is going to weaken Biden administration, which is pretty weak already. But all the proposed legislation of Biden would not be there for the simple reason all important appointments to the judiciary, including the Supreme Court judges, ambassadors, secretaries, have to be approved by the Senate. At present, Senate has a tie-up, 50 Republicans, 15 Democrats, and Biden can get it done through the casting vote of the Vice President, who is the chair. But the likelihood is that now the Senate would have 55 Republicans and 45 Democrats. So even the vote of the Vice President would be of no value because that is only useful when there is a tie. So all future appointments, then all bills are to be wiped off. Then the 6th January investigation that's going on against Trump, that will come to an end because the House will no longer be controlled on them. And that is going to be a key changer. Can a weakened president stand against Putin and help Ukraine? It may not be possible. But the appropriation which are sent to the Senate would not be approved. And in view of the ongoing depolarization in US politics, legislative support, even when required, will be very difficult for the last 2 years of Biden presidency. It is, as I said, hold all the investigations and quite possible that the personal conduct of the President Biden and his son Hunter Biden would also be under scrutiny. And I suspect that the new Senate would start impeachment proceedings, even if not for impeachment, for the pro forma value on the foreign policy and the issues pertaining India directly. There is unlikely to be much change. But the foreign policy and on issues impacting India, there would be some change because the Republicans would like to put it on an even keel. As a matter of fact, the Indo-US relationship was initiated in its current incarnation with the Clinton visit in the year 2000. Since then, it has seen an upward trend, especially under President Trump. It was really making waves. And even this year, the US House of Representatives adopted an amendment recommending India's specific waiver for the defense purchase from Russia. Otherwise, when India purchased 400S missile system, India would have been attracting under CAATSA sanctions, but it didn't happen. China would be very happy for the simple reason the Chinese aim at humbling US would have been achieved by US itself. Now coming back to India and US, these two countries have handled the the sharp differences over Russia's action in Ukraine. Even yesterday, Indian Foreign Minister in Russia advised dialogue. So India has maintained a position distinct from both USA and Russia. It has abstained all the time in UNO against passing any resolution or any decision, taking any decision against Russia. And the US Secretary of State and National Security Advisor have said on occasions that US is playing the long game with India. They don't want to annoy India. They know India is the only bulwark against China in Indo-Pacific area. That's why US is supporting Quad 1 and 2. So they fully show the understanding of India's compulsion, and they have articulated India's relationship with Russia was developed at a time when US was not willing to help. It did help in 1962 war, but it has all the time been pro-Pakistan. Even though Biden gave F-35 components to Pakistan, no doubt there are others in the US policy community who have raised about the reliability of India as a partner, but India is not a partner. India is not aligned to USA, and India is not beholden to USA. USA had imposed sanctions and India didn't care for that. And ultimately, USA, because it was being hurt more than India was being hurt, removed the sanctions. But some people in the business community, particularly in the high-tech sector, are also assessing with caution India's role as a reliable geostrategic partner. And India's role as a partner, especially in the reordered supply chain, is being worked on. Now, tailwinds for the relationship are also being provided by the similarities of growing challenges from China, as I said. And China's impact is going to be both military, economic, and technological. If you saw the US national security strategy, which I discussed a couple of episodes back, China has said that America is the biggest geopolitical challenge. And the Quad grouping, bringing USA, India, Japan, and Australia, is seen as an essential priority to be opposed by China. So that is going to change. Now, with USA administration being weakened and working at cross purposes, China can and might play an adventurous game, likely in Taiwan, Vietnam, and India. That's quite possible. Now, the Quad group was revived in Trump presidency, and it has been taken several notches up, definitely. But when Biden said that Pakistan is the worst possible country, and he said India is our partner, that might change because both groups will like to show better awareness, and that way India is likely to gain. Because Biden would show that he is pro-India more, and Republicans are already pro-India. And what happened in the Malabar exercises, of the naval exercises, India would continue to be seen as a valued and necessary partner. So the impact will definitely be negative on Germany, on France, on England. But then there's another thing which is happening, and that is that the weakened US would strengthen anti-US forces in European Union. And Europe and China are likely to come closer. You see, enemy is your friend. At present, they are friendly to USA because USA is strong and can help them. But when USA is a house divided, and already Germany is developing cold feet in Ukraine issue when it's not as vocal as it used to be. It knows, and in fact the whole of Europe knows, that they are likely to shiver in the coming months if they continue with their antagonistic policy with Russia. And this weakening of US is likely to embolden all anti-US forces all over to assert themselves and to make even unseemly demands on USA. But definitely, India as the world's largest democracy and as described in the strategic paper, a major defense partner, India and US will work together bilaterally and multilaterally because the free and open Indo-Pacific region is a prime need both to USA and to India. India for its own security and USA for its sphere of influence in Taiwan, Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan. Now, what I perceive is that the present US reticence on the trade agreement will continue. Trump had walked back on the traditional Republican advocacy of freer trade arrangements. And he argued correctly that these free trade agreements were against the US middle class interest. And the US middle class was his basic base. Now, Biden continued with this policy, wanting to dent this sport. And instead of globalization, the new terms are now being used. Friendshoring, secure supply chain, they are the challenges from China. And the trade is likely to be impacted by them. But then, would weakened Biden administration be able to do it? I don't think so. Then, particular visa liberalization is going to be a major issue. But with the Republicans controlling Senate, legislation might be passed. Might be. You are not sure. Republicans are seeking to criticize US for being soft on immigration. So, that immigration is going to be tougher. Even though they recognize that the high technical skilled workers from India are essential for USA, if they want to maintain their lead on China. There is recognition in USA of the importance of deepening economic and technology partnership with India, especially given the present geopolitical flux. An Indo-US ministerial level commercial dialogue and forum dialogue, foreign minister level. And the Trade Policy Forum are expected to meet early next year. But would Biden presidency and the bilateral CO forum would be effective with the present change? This year there was a joint statement after Biden-Modi meeting in Tokyo, and the two agreed to establish a new mechanism. National security councils have been asked to advance cooperation in critical emerging areas, such as artificial intelligence, cyber, biotech, semiconductors. Then the US businesses feel that more effort is needed in India to address those issues relating to the trade facilitation, infrastructure, regulatory environment, financing, data flow, and security. So the business engagement would not suffer. Trade would not suffer. However, what is likely to suffer is India's freedom in having further surgical strikes in Pakistan because Pakistan still happens to be the favorite spoiled child of USA. And USA doesn't want that to happen. Nevertheless, US is also aware that Pakistan is an undependable ally, especially with the chaos that is over there, both political, judicial, and social. So, as far as the midterm elections, that is whatever the result may be, India is not going to be loser. But definitely, USA is going to be loser because India would have its open field to play according to its interest. And I'm happy that the present government is not tied up. But the weak administration would definitely be a dangerous signal to Ukraine. The new legislative appropriations, as I said, might not be passed. It would be good for China. And what's good for China is not necessarily good for India. Let's be very clear. So indirectly, India is likely to suffer, though directly it may not suffer. And that's the crux of the situation. But then 2 years is a short time. And when the people get exhausted with this fluid situation where no action is done, the presidency fails, his legislations are not there, the people would automatically be attracted, and there is already an upward swing towards Trump. And then that would be a roadblock against Chinese progress and also against the murmurs that are taking place in European Union. But on the whole, the situation for US itself is not going to be a very, very happy one. Thank you. Oy.